Hello YouTube, welcome to the clinic. I am MD Reese and this is ComixRX, where I diagnose the problems I see in comics and prescribe my solutions. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about Captain America specifically, and I know I'm a little behind the game on this, but I'm a late starter. Anyway, I want to go ahead and talk today about Captain America and Mark Waid's recent run, starting back at 695. We first came on the title after He Who Shall Not Be Named, and everybody looked at it and said, hey, it looks like a great old school Captain America book, but I saw some problems with it kind of right away. So, those of you who may not have read it, there's probably going to be some spoilers in here. Starts off, Captain America is driving through rural Nebraska to visit the Summerfest, the town celebration of Captain America, Nebraska. Now, I'm from Nebraska, and these are big deals, whether it's Oregon Trail Days or Cornstalk Days or Fur Trader Days or wherever you're from in Nebraska, and I'm sure other places too, have little community festivals that are big deals. And so it flashes back to an event some time previously where Captain America had saved the day in this small Nebraska town, and the people were so fond of it that they changed their town's name to name it after the hero, which is kind of an un-Nebraska thing to do. Nebraskans tend to, well, maybe not all, but many tend to hang on to those small town identities maybe a little longer than would always be helpful. Nevertheless, Captain America shows up, and who should be in the town at the same time but the same group of ne'er-do-wells, the Rampart, the supposed right-wing extremists who are coming in to try to take over the town again after 10 or 15 years or whatever it was that had happened in the past. And so you've got a combination flashback, current story that ties the two tales in together. And I thought it was ridiculous on its face. And part of what it was, well, I gotta back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. I did not think it was ridiculous on its face. On its face, it was a fun action story. Captain America driving around on his Harley, or Indian, or whatever it is, Triumph maybe, and he's exploring the America that was left behind. The America of the everyday Joes, the rural folks, the people in the sticks who are still every bit as American and having some time to showcase all of that. Now that's an idea that I can get behind. That's a theme that I've loved since I was a kid, right? And if I was technically advanced at this point, I would key in Simon and Garfunkel's song, just to Look for America, to just wapes through the background as I go on talking about the scope and the breadth of this nation and people traveling through the whole Route 66 experience, the whole road tripness of rural America. And I think that's great. And capping that story, it's worked before, it could work again. It's really cool. My problem with the thing, when I looked at it, I said, on the surface it looks good. Underneath it, I think it kind of stinks. Because it's dishonest. And a lot of people are. And I gotta shine a little bit of grace on here. But a lot of people take a look at this whole right and left extreme, and they try to say that, oh, the right has its fascists and the left has its communists, and they're different. I don't think they are. I don't want to get into that too much, but when you look at the kind of thing that's going to grow out, these kind of people that are going to try to force their will on others, those aren't your run-of-the-mill Americans. They're not the downtrodden in a rural town that are looking for some kind of way out, right? That's not dishonest to how it is, and I'm not going to try to say there's not a history of bigotry in Nebraska. Omaha during the 1920s and 30s was one of the hotbeds of the KKK, right? I'm not going to try to be dismissive of that, but that's not how it is out in the rural areas. That's not how it is out here. And you get further away from the city, you get further away from that mindset, because you can't get by without your neighbors. And even though everybody's fiercely individual and everybody's, trying to be their own person, they're not gonna. You can't get by without your neighbors. That's how it works. And so I saw this, and I'm like, I'm not sure Mark Waid's really even been out here, So that bugged me a little. But at the same time, I find out at the end of the book that Cap's not wandering through town, not visiting places he's seen before. He was specifically looking for these guys, right? That means it's not an aimless wandering, right? That's what he's setting up, is that he's going around looking for trouble, right? Looking for the places he can smooth out the rough edges, right? Looking for places he can stand up for the little guy. Okay? Well, let's just give it that. Let's say that Cap's doing some recon. He's going around, fighting for the everyday American. Okay, let's set up on that, right? And then 696 came along. And it's from Nebraska. He's down in Georgia, if I remember right. Should have flipped it open before I started recording, because I don't know editing. So this is going to be kind of whatever it is. Yep, Georgia, by the Sagar River, right? And so he travels, like 1,000 miles in the other direction from out here in the high plains out to the deep south, right? And he gets there and he's running into the folks at the diner and talking about the local economy, and there's a scene here. I'm actually going to try to show you something here. Straight right there, that whole panel, straight out of an Archie comic, right? They're trying to pull into that everyday American kind of thing still, right? That classic, that old school, that very same world that Captain America was originally drawn out of, right? And what he appealed to, the general issue soldier who would be out across the oceans and getting comics during World War II and getting hooked on the medium and coming back and reading them. Those same guys, the same spirit of that. And who should we see, right? Captain America, of course, is the shield, and he's going to run into the swordsman, right? Right, there you go, the swordsman. And that's sort of a fun little tidbit, visually, the sword and the shield kind of against each other, kind of a neat thing. But more and more we get on there, and I just got to show off. I do like, not show off, but I do like this page, this great splash page. See if I can get there without the glare from the thing on that. Is that not an awesome image or what? Anyway. But we find out that the swordsman's like, "Oh, you found me! Ha ha ha!" I mean, it's a new guy, whatever, trying to show himself up, prove his chops on that. And Cap's like, "No, I didn't know you were here. I just happened by." That's the exact opposite thing that they banked so much of the story, wrapping it into a previous event in the last issue, and all of a sudden this is just a random encounter that doesn't fit the same. And not every story's got to be the same, but it shows that this isn't a thought out, a continued story that Mark Waid's telling. He's just spitting stuff out, right? And then I got to the next issue, the 697, right? The Kraven the Hunter on the front of it. Very provocative cover, very neat thing. And Kraven's a weird character. He's kind of cool, kind of not, kind of interesting, kind of old hat. But in this story, you have Captain America up against Kraven the Hunter in this most dangerous game scenario. And I'm not going to get into it too much, except that is in no way connected to the other two issues or this theme, right? Right at the top of that, Home of the Brave. See that? That's not what's going on here. It's not about America. It's just a device. This whole story and everything in it, the little backstabby thing, the side characters, the drama, all of it is just a side note to bring on one thing. And this was the thing, like, I thought it was a little weird, maybe out of place, maybe it's a filler, Like back in the day, they used to always have filler issues for when storylines started to run a little long, right? So I thought maybe it was just one of those. Something that was written that was sacked away, a catalog book, right? But it was all there. It was all, this entire issue was nothing but a device, a plot device, to bring up this thing right there. Right? The next storyline. The Man at a Time. Cap frozen again. All that kind of thing. That was it. That was the only thing it was for. This is it. And it was one of those things where, not only, and I don't even want to get into this book. It's in a bag because I got it from a shop, and they said, "You want it in a bag?" And I said, "Sure." I don't even want to get into it. It's ridiculous. Just out of left field. It's not internally consistent. It's just, granted, I only read the first issue. I was so annoyed with it. But a big part of my annoyance with it, outside of the whole political aspect of it, was that it wasn't a follow-up to the premise that was promised in this. Right? It wasn't a follow-up to the scenario that played out in here. Right? And this only existed to bridge the gap between what we said we were getting, right? Between what Mark Waid said we were getting and what he wanted to do with it. So this is what the heck? It's a useless story. It doesn't expand on any ideas, doesn't forward the narrative. There are no great American issues that are drawn up here. There are no other people of weight or character or value or anything. It's just a throwaway. And I mean, come on, look at this. It's a magazine, right? It's just a floppy, right? So they were designed to be thrown away, right? We keep them in bags. We build lives around them as nerds, and that's all well and good. But the stories inside can have merit. They can have meaning. They can speak to our condition. They can speak to things we think are important. But this is just a plot device to pull the curtain away from what Waid really wanted to write about. And that's not something I can respect. So, my diagnosis is patent dishonesty. And the only cure for that is the truth. In this case, it would be paying attention to the characters, to who Captain America is, and what he means in all contexts, not just what the author happens to feel at the moment about the current political climate or how he's been treated. Because this is a personal story. This is one man's story of one man's opinion. Whereas this starts being something about all of us. It's dishonest in it. Those clues are there from the beginning, but that's what it's promising. But this is not. This is crap. So that's my opinion on that. Hopefully you guys found it interesting. If you did, go ahead and let me know. I don't know what I'm doing, so hopefully this is interesting or at least enjoyable. You get a picture of me with my psoriatic face on here just because I didn't know what else to do. I know I prefer to listen to videos just like podcasts because, I don't necessarily care what anyone else looks like either. So hopefully that's not a bother. And if you guys have tips or pointers, feel free to hit me up. So hopefully this is something. This has been ComixRX. And I'm Reese. So you guys have a good day.